like winning money? Or do you prefer to set it on fire? Well, either way, you're in luck. Here's this week's edition of Big Al's Big Five. Let's win some money.
Oh, welcome into a Week 13 edition of Big Al's Big Five. Dustin has been defeated. I was 5-0 last week, the first time anyone on this show has been 5-0. So we got to bring someone in new. Sports gambling, well, it's kind of legal up here now, only at one specific place. But this guy's had sports gambling for a while. We're keeping it in the family. My Uncle Sean, welcome to Big Al's Big Five.
Hey, how you doing? What's going on?
Oh, actually, today there's a lot of teams with their bye weeks this week, so the Lions kind of suck this week, but we're going to get after it. And let's start with the first game, Washington at Vegas. I actually did put one of my bets on this. It was only $5. I like Vegas. I really don't. They've been going through so much garbage, but Washington is. I just hate Washington. I hate watching them play. I hate Taylor Heineke, that whole experiment. I don't think their defense is very good. 1-point favorites at home, basically a pick 'em. So for that reason, I'll give a point with Vegas.
You're easy money. You are easy money. You gotta love Washington.
Oh,
you gotta love them. Here, listen.
Why?
Taylor Heineke, I think he's got like a 74% completion percentage over the last 3 games.
Oh.
You got a 3-game winning streak. That team's coming alive. I think you're going to see that defense start to gel a little better. They're putting the heat up in the NFC East. I like Washington. I'm telling you, man, they're coming on strong. You realize that Taylor Heineke is 15th in the NFL in passing? He was bagging groceries last year.
Well, that's just it. The guys that I do our podcast on Thursdays, make sure you check that out on Apple and Spotify. They love this guy. Taylor Heineke's the greatest. But 15th, he's literally middle of the pack. I just don't. They got to go cross country on the road. Not that Vegas is a tough place to play, but I trust Derek Carr more than Taylor Heineke. Is really in my head what this came down to. Now
I get it. I mean, you think about it though. The difference between him and Derek Carr. Derek Carr is 3,400. Passing yards to 2,600 passing yards. That still means that Taylor Heineke's going to throw for like 3,200 this year. Not bad.
That's going to be the title of his biography when it's all said and done. Not bad. Yep. It's just no. So at that point, it really just came down to I like Vegas at home. So take my money, please, Oneida Tribe. So. Rolling on, second game of the day. I actually put money on this one as well. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Ben Roethlisberger's falling apart. Every time he runs or moves at all or even throws the ball, you see springs and bolts and sprockets just fall off of him. It's over. I don't even understand why Pittsburgh's going with him at this point. The defense is okay. They've been a little banged up. TJ Watt, I believe, is back today, if I saw that correctly. Or he's out with COVID, one of the two. But if they don't have TJ Watt, 4.5, that seems like a pretty small number. Although it's kind of a weird line. So they got to win by 5, which makes me think that that's just strange. But Baltimore at home against a really, they're mediocre at best Pittsburgh team. I like Baltimore and swallow the points.
I couldn't agree more. Baltimore's going to key up on the run. Najee Harris has been fantastic. The rest of the offense has been terrible. All they got to do is play the run, and this game is theirs. I agree 100%.
Yeah, I don't really understand what Pittsburgh is doing. Not that I watch a ton of Pittsburgh football, but at some point, it's time to. This is like the old racing horses. Like, it's over. Just put the horse down. It's done. It was done probably 2-3 years ago. But I'm saying all this, and I'm starting him in our fantasy football league that we have together because Jalen Hurts apparently isn't playing today. So that's cool. I'm not expecting big things. So, but my season's toast anyway, so I guess it doesn't. Yeah, we both got Baltimore this week. Moving on to our next game, kind of a strange one. San Francisco, 3-point favorites at Seattle. I kind of looked at this line for a while. Seattle +3 at home sounds really good unless you watch them the last, since Russell Wilson got back. He's throwing red zone interceptions. Doesn't look, that hand is not healthy. But I know Garoppolo's playing better. I know San Francisco looks better. But something inside of me will not bet against Seattle at home, and I don't know what it is. I really hate this, but I'm going to take Seattle as an underdog at home.
I don't even hate it. I think it's a good pick. I think Seattle, I agree with you also, too. Man, you got to look. Bobby Wagner, Jordan Brooks. I mean, they're two guys right there for Seattle. They're in the top 4 in tackles. I mean, what on the offense of San Francisco scares you?
Truthfully, they can run the ball, which Seattle doesn't really stop all that well. Okay. Kittle hasn't, he's been almost non-existent. Debo is out, so that's huge for Seattle. So nothing really scares me unless Elijah Mitchell does anything for you.
Yeah. I mean, what Brandon Ayuk? I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I like the 13th man.
Yeah. I guess I don't love that. Normally when I say these, like I half believe it. This one's like, well, I guess Seattle's a home dog, sure. But yeah, no. So I'll take Seattle. We both got Seattle. Let's move on to the next one. Chargers going cross country to Cincinnati. Cincinnati, a 3-point favorite at home. I've been kind of on this train for the last couple of weeks. If you listen to our other podcast, Chargers have been pretty mediocre, pretty pedestrian after a hot start. Herbert looks nothing like the guy we've seen for the last year and a half. Their big play explosion is just gone. Eckler's looked okay, but Mike Williams is basically non-existent. The defense is kind of falling apart. Teddy Bridgewater made them look stupid last week. In Cincinnati, while I haven't been all that impressed with them, 3-point favorite, so it probably will be a close game. Cincinnati at home, cross-country trip, probably going to be cooler. It's pretty cold up here in the Midwest. So for that reason, I'm going to swallow the points and take Cincinnati -3.
I couldn't agree with you more there either. I mean, we're kind of on the same page. Joe Burrow's, look, let's be honest, he's everything they advertised. Their running game is coming along nicely. Joe Mixon's been solid. You know, that receiving core in Cincy is probably the best in the NFL if you think about it collectively.
They're deep. I mean, they don't, depending on what you think Chase will be, right now they don't have like that, oh my gosh, like Devonta Adams, DeAndre Hopkins type guy. But I mean, Chase can definitely get there, and then it's just deep, just solid guy after solid guy after solid guy. Yeah,
you know, and if the Chargers want to have a shootout with the Bengals, it's going to be a bloodbath. And like you said, Mike Williams has been garbage. Trust me, he was the pickup of the year 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was starting him like, oh, this is an easy 20 points. I didn't even have to worry about it. Set it and forget it.
Right. So, no, I agree with you there. You got to take Cincy, give the points, and collect your winnings.
All right. So I do want to get, because, you know, I don't know if he'll be back next week or not, but I want to have the Justin Fields conversation with you. It's just us. I don't have any other BS, no biased Packer fans. Let's have an honest, before we get into this game, I want to have an honest conversation. Let's talk Justin Fields. I really like him. I think, and the reason I'm rooting so hard for this kid, other than I just don't like Justin Fields for some reason, don't really know. It's just so much more fun when the Packers and Bears have a solid rivalry, and it's not, you know, Caleb Heine or whatever, Haney or whatever his name was trotting out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just more fun when they're actually both good at the same time. And who knows, maybe after this year it'll be Jordan Love versus Justin Fields, and maybe that'll be fun. I don't know. But my colleagues, those idiots, think that he's awful and going to be a bust. Can you please talk some sense into them?
Well, I think that your colleagues have to understand that Chicago's had a problem for 2 decades. Stability at the coaching spot.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing is, let's be honest, Nagy is garbage. He is garbage. We know he's garbage. Everybody knows he's garbage. He's no better than the Mark Trestmans that we've had and the plethora of others. They're going to redefine football, and they've ruined careers. If you look at it, Mitch Trubisky in his second year coming around was starting to look solid. I mean, he was and then he took a fall for whatever reason, but it falls on the coaches It falls on the coaches. Coaching is the most important thing. I think Fields is the real deal, but we have line issues like everybody else does. And for some reason, Green Bay knows how to find gems in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and they turn out to be gods.
It's nuts.
And our scouting department, I question highly in Chicago. But, hey, look, I'm just a regular Joe watching stuff on TV like everybody else. I don't do the X's and O's. Maybe somebody's smarter than me, but I don't think that our coaching staff or our scouting staff have passed the smell test, so to speak.
I'm right there with you. And I've been preaching, not that we're a Bears podcast, but I've been preaching this for the last month. And I listen to a lot of Chicago radio, so a lot of my opinions are formed there.
Yep.
But from what I understand, Nagy's just – let's go back to Fields' first start in Cleveland. There was no way that they prepared for that Cleveland team. I don't know what they were doing, but negative total yards of offense is a joke for any professional team.
I did hear one of your colleagues say something the other day that I didn't say nothing. I didn't type nothing out. Trey, who mentioned that Fields in college ran the ball so much more than Trey Lance. I would love for you to look up the stat. What Trey Lance did in college running, his one and only year he played, versus Fields. The numbers are staggering. That's all Trey Lance did was run the ball.
You know what's funny is once you said it, it clicked, but I know I blew past that because it must have stuck in here, but I must not have heard it.
Right.
You're right. I don't know why I didn't blow that take up, or maybe I was just so frustrated by the stupidity. All these young quarterbacks, outside of maybe Zach Wilson because he's with the Jets, you can't judge any of these kids. There's no way. Trevor Lawrence might be pretty good, but his line sucks. He has no weapons except for James Robinson.
And quite honestly, Jacksonville's defense has been pretty darn good.
Yeah. And they're always somewhat decent defensively, but it just, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable,
Yeah, for them to throw dirt on Justin Fields' grave at this point, it's
so let me get you that stat just so I can throw it out there about Trey Lance because I
know
knew it. His rushing yards, which 2019 was the full season because in 20, because of COVID, he didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
2019, and I knew it when he said it. 16 games played, 169 rushing attempts, 1,100 yards.
For Lance or for Fields?
For Lance.
For Lance.
That would be a lot, and 14 rushing touchdowns.
He's a running back that threw.
Yes. Which Fields conversely was the polar opposite.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. But I guess let's focus on today's game now that I've had the Justin Fields conversation and I'm satisfied in that I don't have to worry about that anymore because you talk some sense into the people watching. But Arizona, 7.5-point favorites at Chicago. Kyler Murray, there's high optimism that he will be back this week. It sounds like that's going to happen. DeAndre Hopkins will most likely be back as well. J.J. Watt is still out, but at this point, J.J. Watt is more of a decoy than anything, in my opinion. And we were talking before we went on air. The Bears are missing Mack. They're missing. Did you say Roquan Smith is also out? Did I hear that name?
I got to look at the injury report again, but you're talking banged up Smith, Akeem Hicks, Danny Trevathan. It's just a patchwork defense right now. I hate this game. But there would be no way I would ever bet on Chicago.
Well,
not in this game. Not in this game.
The only thing that makes me lean toward Chicago is basically 8. 7.5. So Arizona would have to win by 8. That's a big number. It's going to be crap conditions. Talking with you, it's kind of raining. It's cold. Midwest weather isn't great this week. Coming off an ankle injury, it's going to be a slick track, and we all know that the Bears' turf is one of the. It's less. It's awful. So, I mean, that's going to slow him down a little bit.
I don't think that they're going to let Kyler Murray play in this weather today. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, for that reason, to get this line at 7.5, if Murray's not playing, and now Colt McCoy's no scrub, he's fine. But I mean, I feel better. Eight's a big number, or 7.5, I should say, is a big number. That's
okay. So I take it that you're forcing me to pick somebody.
Well, I'm taking Chicago because I think Arizona by 7.5. I don't think the Bears win this game, but kind of like last week where I thought Baltimore, even with a backup, would have a decent day. It was really close.
Yeah, I'm gonna shy away from it, but if I had to pick, I would pick Arizona. Just too many issues going on right now. Too many issues.
All right, so that will wrap up all 5 of our games. So to recap, we both have Baltimore, we both have Seattle, and we both have Cincinnati today. We differ on Vegas and Washington. I have Vegas, you have Washington, and then Chicago, Arizona. The Packer fan is taking the Bears, and the Bear fan is picking against the Bears this week. But that'll do it. That's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Big Five. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube for all the latest Big Five. We will see next week if Sean comes back. I'm guessing, the more I look at that Chicago line, I don't like my chances. So I'll probably see you next week. But you know what? I'm committed at this point. So whatever, lock it in. I didn't put actual money on this. I wouldn't. No. I don't like that line at all. But for the sake of this show, why not? So thank you for watching this week. Thank you as always, for the continued support. We will be back next week. Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Big Al, be good.
Yep. Find our other podcast, Lockdown Corner. Make sure you subscribe to that on Apple and Spotify. We will see you next week. We'll see if Sean's back. Who knows? Until then,